Hi, this is a review of my Salomon Trans Alp boots. Salomon, as you are aware, is a European brand which caters to mountaineering equipment, specifically boots and other gear. So these are the Trans Alp boots from Salomon. These are proper mountain boots. In terms of positioning, these were more expensive than the Quest 4D. So most likely they're supposed to be better at least. In terms of design, with the present Quest 4D models, I would say that these look much better and maybe perform much better also. So coming on to the boot proper, as you can see, again in comparison to the Quest 4D from Salomon, these are proper mountain boots because they don't have too much of paneling happening. It's got one single piece of leather and is going to be properly waterproof. Also, the sole is stiffer for mountaineering purposes, and the rubber band goes all around the boot. This is the usual hallmark of mountaineering boots. Also, these aren't very clunky unlike the present Quest 4Ds which have come out. Very ugly boots those ones are. So coming on to this boot, starting with the sole is kind of narrow. With the European brands, most of you are already aware, you have to go, or at least I have to go one size up. I usually wear a UK 10 and a half, and with this I went with a UK 11, which was a good decision because the rubber band up front makes the toe box stiff and there isn't any space for expansion over due course of usage. So it's always good to have some space up front, and also because the last is narrow with slightly wider feet, it becomes easier to fit inside one size up. So the sole is also narrow, which I find is actually good for mountaineering purposes, and the tread pattern you'll find is fairly spaced out. It will help in shedding mud, but also the tread pattern up front is all one continuous piece of rubber, which will give you good grip when you're trying to find a place for yourself or find a place to grip in the mountain. And if it were serrated like this, then probably there would be a chance of tearing of the grip or of the outsole faster. But because it's all continuous one piece, so this is going to give you longer life. Similarly on the behind also, they've got one big piece of grip on the outsole. The outsole does have some Salomon branding and it says Conta Grip. Conta Grip, as you're already aware, like Vibram, is the outsole branding of Salomon that they use on their own boots. The sole density looks decently thick. It's not very soft, which is okay for a mountain boot because this is going to face a lot of hard wear and tear. The outsole, as you can see, is only this thickness, and this looks slightly thin, but this is okay considering that the midsole cannot be seen because the rubber band is going over the midsole. The midsole is visible here. This is the midsole. It's EVA Phylon. And then the rubber band, which comes right up till here in places, and then on the other side also. Now because of the rubber band and of the shank inside, the sole is kind of stiff. It doesn't bend too much. However, unlike other boots which are so stiff in the sole department, these are very comfortable, mostly because of the curve in the sole and also because the insole and the midsole is kind of soft, so it doesn't feel very awkward or stiff when you're walking. The insole on the inside is Ortholite, which is again an EVA insole with branding from Salomon themselves. The upper of the boot, in addition to the rubber, is all good quality thick leather. The thickness can be seen from the edges here, so it's good thick quality leather with all double stitches. And here in this area they've got some synthetic paneling also, but this is the main area where the abrasion will happen, and it's all got good decent material of decent thickness also. Here it says Goretex. So the inside of the boot has got a Goretex lining which will give it waterproofing. I haven't tested out the waterproofing completely yet, but they do seem to be decently waterproof. They have a pull tab at the rear for you to put it on easily and take it off easily also. The laces are good, high quality, thick nylon laces. However, because they are so strong, they tend to slip when you tie them, and so I have to keep frequently tying them when I'm wearing them because they keep coming undone. I would probably have liked maybe darker colored laces, but then this may be a fashion decision that Salomon has taken, but that's okay, it doesn't look too bad. For the laces, they've got something called variable tensioning. This loop at the ankles, is where once you put the laces inside and put it inside properly, here now it's completely inside and it stays in that place, it doesn't shift. And whereas on these loops, once you put the laces around this, then they can shift up and down because they don't keep them in place, as in they do keep them around the hook, but there is still movement which is possible up and down. But here there is variable tensioning, so once you put the laces through this loop, the laces will stay in place, which is very useful when you're walking up and down steep slopes, because you want this part of your foot to be kept firmly in place. Otherwise your feet will keep moving forward and behind, which is never good. So this is a good feature which I found in these boots. The quality of the loops is all good. Up front it's all leather, and then behind these metallic loops are there. So this is also pretty good. On the inside they have this mesh material to allow for some amount of breathing, but because of the Goretex lining inside, the boot doesn't breathe so much, which is kind of offset because this is just a 6-inch boot, maybe 6.5 inches. And so because the height of the boot isn't much, there is still some amount of air which keeps entering the boot from here. If you do wear these in the mountains and will be crossing some snow, you'll have to wear a garter because of the less height of the boot. Snow will enter from up top. But otherwise, I found these boots to be really nice. They are actually purpose built, good quality boots. I compare these to the Quest 4D. These are better boots. I compare these to the Decathlon boots, proper mountain boots, which I had bought, costing lesser than this. But those were the only other proper mountain boots that I bought, which had a similar kind of rubber band all around and also stiffer sole. But those are very difficult to walk in. These are very comfortable to walk in. Do I recommend these boots? Yes, I do recommend these boots. However, the pricing is quite steep, and so one will have to take a call on that. Thank you.